Greetings, troopers. Actually, greeting pilots, I should say. Welcome to the Imperial Academy. In this video, you're going to learn the many skills and abilities needed to pilot the Empire's arsenal of top-notch fighters, bombers, and interceptors within the Empire's fleet, and much, much more. So as we all know, no, get off screen, no, alright. Okay, look. There has been some misconception in the general public about the Empire's fighters, with a lot of people being led to believe that they are absolutely rubbish. This is not true, and is nothing but rebel propaganda. I assure you, there is absolutely nothing to worry about when using these flying fighters. So as I was saying, we all know that TIEs are at the forefront of every battle that an Imperial fleet has. They come in many different styles and variations, each of which serves their own independent function, but are able to work in conjunction with each other and gain the upper hand over the rebels due to their strength in numbers. Each TIE variant serves a unique function which allows them to effectively fight against rebel starfighters, as they are slightly multi-purpose and can serve multiple roles with one variant of TIE, by being able to hold a defense, initiating an attack run, or surprising the enemy with a hit and run. TIEs can do it all, but remember, like other vehicles in the Empire, it is only as good as its driver, and your squadron mates are your best friends in battle and your key to survival, so it is crucial you stick with them because effective coordination and teamwork could mean life or death. But with that, feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy Empire content or just Star Wars content in general, and maybe feel free to share this video with other like-minded Star Wars fans to show your allegiance to the Empire. But without further ado, let's get into it. All TIE fighters were manufactured and built by Sienna Fleet Systems, which was one of the top ship and drive manufacturing corporations throughout the Star Wars galaxy. In their early history, they manufactured dropships and shuttles for the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars, where they ended up bankrupt by the end of it. But upon the rise of the Galactic Empire, they were commissioned by Palpatine to design and construct all TIE and shuttle variants that the Empire used during its reign, thus pulling them out of that financial hole they dug themselves into. Now, TIEs themselves, I'm sure as you all know, are unique for their wing shape with two upturned hexagonal plates, which give the fighter the ability to turn upon slowing down. These wings gave that extra stability that TIEs needed when manoeuvring around in a battle, and especially within atmospheres, in order to face and shoot down their opponent. These wings can also act as shields, with most pilots turning them in the face of oncoming fire to ensure that minimal damage is sustained to the cockpit. This doesn't always work though, as X-Wings can intensify their firepower, thus ripping that wing and even the cockpit to shreds. But do you know what the main use of these wings were? Solar panels. I'm not sure who came up with that. In terms of firepower, all TIE fighters come equipped with a main armament of L-S1 laser cannon, which are good at taking ships down in a matter of seconds due to their high fire rate as well as adjustable power levels. With this, a TIE's weapon can also be customized to the pilot's liking, with missiles, ion weaponry, proton torpedoes, mines, tractor beams, and so much more, like a buffet of TIE parts and weapons. This also leads to the fact that TIEs were easy to produce and required little maintenance when damaged. They had P-S4 twin-ion engines, which were low maintenance as they had practically no moving parts within them, and could supposedly move TIEs at around 200 meters per second, allowing them to be mostly swift and efficient at dodging oncoming fire. They possessed independent generators for each of their systems, such as navigation, ship targeting, tracking, engines, and weaponry, which could be one factor which might have played into their fragility, but to make up for that they had fantastic maneuverability due to their lack of a shield generator, hyperdrive, and life support, because who needs those in the vacuum of space, am I right? TIEs had no landing gear of sorts, instead being mounted to racks on the ceilings of hangars within Star Destroyers and stations, but they were perfectly capable of landing on their wings, although it's not recommended you do this if you have no clue what you're doing, because you might end up slamming the thing into the floor and breaking it, which would not be good for you, as you would probably have your rank revoked. But with that, let's talk about the pilots. TIE pilots served in the Starfighter Corps branch of the Empire. Different from their ground-based counterparts, pilots were usually equipped with a black nylon pressurization suit, a helmet, an oxygen filter, and a DC-11 blaster rifle. They wore all black to distinguish themselves and each other apart, with their armour being quite bulky and loose-fitting, as TIE fighters did not have any life support in them, and thus the suits would keep them safe. Barely. They wore helmets similar to that of AT-AT pilot, with 2 tubes running down and connecting to a life support pack on their chest, which provided them with oxygen, and on the side of their helmet was a ship communication link which allowed them to communicate with their fighter about its condition, speed, hull integrity, and so on. Pilot armour was generally more reinforced and far better than what stormtroopers had, as it had multiple layers of reinforced padding to protect the head and body, as well as allowing the pilot to breathe in what was practically the vacuum of space inside their cockpits. Although an exception could be made for TIE bomber pilots whose suit did not require such hefty equipment, as their ships were big enough to carry life support and so on. When pilots were off duty and relaxing, they usually wore suits similar to that of Navy officers, as these were comfort clothes that they could use to rest, and when the time came they could switch into their pilot uniforms if needed. In the event of surviving a TIE crash, which was rare, the suit usually had a little pocket with very little ration in them, as most pilots were expected not to survive, but it was there if needed. Strategies and tactics employed by pilots in starfighter warfare ranged from many different styles, with each pilot preferring different ways to fight against enemy fighters, although the general consensus is whoever spots who first is usually the victor in space warfare. For example, one strategy would be that while you have an enemy on your tail and you can't shake them conventionally, a trick you can pull off is to get them to straighten up behind you, and when you're ready, throttle back all the way and let them pass in front of you. You are now on their tail, and you can take them down. This doesn't always work though, as it depends on the distance, as they could see it coming and you could potentially leave yourself open to being destroyed, or you could risk crashing into them as they ram into the back of you, killing both pilots in the process. A good strategy for those that want to rack up their kills would be to coax an enemy and spring a booby trap on them, which involves communication with the squad mate. Have your squad mate attract an enemy and get them on his tail. Once the enemy thinks he has the kill set up, you then spring your trap and take out the opposing fighter. This one requires teamwork to pull off, and you can end up having your squad mate killed, but it is an effective way of getting a hit. A strategy known as the break is also employable if there are no other squad mates about. If an enemy fighter is moving into intercept and get within firing range, you can pull this off as they begin to pull into the side of your fighter. You can turn sharply into their attack path and fly round them, giving you a chance to get behind them and intercept. Although, if you don't turn sharply enough and pass by them, you could end up crashing into them or being destroyed by their oncoming fire. If all hope is lost though and your enemy is within prime firing position, then you can use Jinking to potentially save your life. Jinking is basically flying in a random pattern with all sorts of twists, turns, spins, dives and wiggling to hopefully throw your opponent off guard and prevent them from getting a hard lock on you and shooting you down. Of course, these are just a few of many strategies that can be employed in starfighter warfare, whether that be Imperial or Rebel, but if you want to know more, a good place to look would be the Rebel Alliance sourcebook, which has plenty more strategies you can learn about. I will leave a link to that down in the description. Who knows? Maybe these strategies will be helpful in a Star Wars game coming perhaps later this year. Oh wait, that's right, Star Wars Squadrons. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. What type of Imperial starfighter would you fly, or would you even be a pilot for the Empire? Let me know in the comment. And if you enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like, subscribe and share this video amongst fellow Empire or Star Wars fans. And if you haven't, check out my previous videos about what Coruscant was like under the Empire's control. But until then, stay tuned for more coming up on the Imperial Academy to help you prepare for your time in the field and be able to crush the rebel scum.